Hi, I'm Madison Mary and welcome back to my channel. Today I have some smutty book recommendations for you. So today I have 5 book recommendations for you that are steamy and sexy. And these are books that have quite detailed interactions between the characters, and you know, they kind of get people a little bit hot and bothered. So I'm very excited to give you guys 5 recommendations if you're looking for these kind of books, because you know, sometimes we think a book is gonna be, you know, steamy, and the steam level's like middle of the level. Here we're talking about like full on like 20 flames, like this is the high steam factor. So I'm very excited. Some of these are full-length books, some of these are novellas, and the novellas are the first in the series so that you can then continue on and see how they keep on going. And I'm very excited to give you these recommendations. So without further ado, let's get into them. I'm going to start off with a common recommendation, one that you've probably seen around, and if you haven't, what have you been doing? Because to me, this author is one of the queens of, you know, sexy scenes. So we have, of course, A Lesson in Thorns by Simone. This is the first book in the Thorn Chapel Quartet. The last book just came out a couple of days ago, so the entire series is out. This is a polyamorous romance, so we have multiple characters engaging in sexual acts together. There are also acts in here that are kind of ritualistic in nature. You have MMF, FFM, MF, FF, everything, literally everything is in this when you think about like different ways that people could be together. So this follows the story of 6 people. They used to know each other as children because their parents were all friends, and they had their own little ceremony when they were children in Thorn Chapel, which is the estate that they would all hang out at. And you know, it was, they always had a connection from that. And then 12 years later, they all end up back at Thorn Chapel. And in this one, we're mainly following the point of view of Prosperina, who is Poe, and you know, it's her coming back to Thorn Chapel for the first time and having this immense attraction to 2 of the men who were there, Saint and Auden. Of course, she's also attracted to some of the women that are there. So as I said, there are 6 of them in total. We have Poe, Prosperina, who is the librarian. Auden, who is the head of this estate. He is the richest of the rich. He's the one who owns Thorn Chapel. We have Saint Sebastian, who was kind of the worker's kid, and that's kind of how he became part of them. We have Delphine, who is the socialite. She's also plus sized. We have Rebecca, who is the genius. She has her own firm and she's super smart, and you know, she's a little bit dominatrix. And then lastly, we have Beckett, who is a priest. Alright, so like, those are our 6 characters, and this all stems from the idea of Thorn Chapel having a history that is slightly ritualistic and pagan in nature. So it's really fun because you're following each of the books a different celebration, a different ritual that occurs. At the same time, there's also a mystery that is also going on at the chapel, and so there are mystery undertones that take place with this book being mostly a smutty romance. So I very much recommend it. Next, we're gonna move on to a novella from a well-known smutty author, and that is Katee Roberts' Theirs for a Night. This is book 1 of the Thalian dynasty, and it is very steamy. It is a novella, the first book, so it is short, but trust me, once you get a taste, you will want to continue on. This is an MMF romance, which is male, male, female. And when the novella takes place, it is Meg Sanders' birthday. She is quite tightly wound. She's all about work. She, you know, has to try and make ends meet, and she doesn't really have the time to go out and do things, but you know, it's her birthday, so her friend convinces her to go out, and she goes to the bar and she makes eyes with these 2 guys, Theo and Galen, and the 2 of them end up inviting her back for a night, and that's what it's about. I don't want to spoil what the series is about and who Theo and Galen are, because that's what makes it really fun. But do know that there is an aspect of this romance that has to do with royalty. So if you like royalty and, you know, smuttiness, I recommend this one. Then we have a novella that is currently $0 on Kindle. So if you do have Kindle, do check this one out, and that is Dirty Little Tease by Kendal Ryan. This follows a lonely librarian who frequents a coffee shop and this handsome billionaire who also frequents this coffee shop, and you know, the two of them have always admired each other, but you know, they only make eyes, they don't actually talk. But one day he ends up actually leaving his business card in the tip jar for her. You know, he drops it in, he makes eyes at her, and then he walks away and she takes it. And his name was Gavin Kingsley. He's one of the 3 Kingsley brothers, and he's actually the president of a business called Forbidden Desires. And Forbidden Desires is actually a escort company. So she ends up going to the company eventually so she can meet him, but when she gets there, they end up thinking that she's actually auditioning and trying out to be an escort for the company, and it is so steamy because there are 3 brothers and they all kind of get a little bit involved, and there is a little bit of a power play going on here, and you kind of are like, I don't really know who I wanted to be with, and it is very steamy and very sexy, and oh my god, trust me, once you start this one, you're like, I need to know what happens next. Like, it is so good. Then we have Queen Takes Nights by Jolie Sue Burkhart, and this is actually paranormal. It is a vampire romance, a vampire harem romance, almost, in a sense. So we're following Shara Isidore, and 5 years ago she saw her mother get murdered by monsters, and of course no one believes her. And these monsters always, you know, manage to find her at night time, and you know, they're vampires. And she's been on the run ever since. She doesn't really stay in one place long enough, lest they, you know, smell her scent and they find her and they want to kill her, okay? And it seems like her luck is coming to an end. It seems like her time is running out, you know, and just before they attack her and basically kill her, these 2 guys come out of nowhere and like slay them all. And these guys proclaim that Shara is actually a lost queen and that they are her blood, which are basically like her protectors, her knights. So she's actually a long lost vampire queen who is a descendant of Isis. So there's a whole side of her that she never really knew about. She never knew that, and because her mum died, she never found out the truth about what was really going on. And so she has these 2 men who are her blood, you know, they feed off each other, they, you know, do the do with each other, there's blood play, there's like all that kind of stuff. Like, it is literally everything, and you don't only get like scenes between all 3 of them together, but you actually get a lot of scenes that are just the 2 guys together too, because they have been searching for their lost queen for so long that, you know, they had to feed off each other in different ways. That was like a thing, and it is so good because I have been looking for a sexy, like super steamy vampire romance that is not cringy in the plot, and this is definitely it. I absolutely adore it so much. The way the vampires work in this world is also really cool. It is a super long series. It's like 12 books, but trust me, it is so worth it if you want like, oh my god. And then the last one I have is, it's a little bit taboo at the end, so I do want to warn, if you're not a fan of taboo romances, to maybe stay away from this. I will admit I was a little bit like skeeved out by like one of the scenes at the very end, so I did drop it half a star because of that. But otherwise, it's a really great romance. So it is The Initiation by Nikki Sloane. Man, is it interesting. So we're following Maris Northcote, and she comes from the Northcote family. They're very prestigious, except for the fact that they're actually going into bankruptcy. And the only way they can save themselves is by marrying off one of their daughters to the Hale family. Now, Royce Hale has been engaged since basically birth to Maris' older sister. Things change very quickly when she falls pregnant from someone else, and so instead Maris is thrust into the Hale family as the newly engaged fiance of Royce. However, the Hale family has a lot of traditions and a lot of rules and regulations when it comes to joining the family, and there are a lot of tests that Maris must pass in order to actually be accepted and wed into the family, because if she does not pass all these tests, she will actually be rejected as his bride and her family will basically go bankrupt and they'll have nothing left. So it is very interesting. I really did love it. It was very steamy at a lot of times and it was very sexy. I will admit that Like I said, there is a scene at the end that's very, very taboo, extremely taboo. And I'm not gonna spoil it, of course, because it's a spoiler for the whole initiation point of this book, but it shocked me, but I didn't hate it. It's not my personal preference, but damn. This book is also $0 currently on Kindle, so, you know, even if it ends up not being a cup of tea, it's not like you lost any money on it. And then lastly, I'm actually gonna throw in a 6th book because I recently read this and it was steamy. And that is Go Deep by Rilzy Adams. Now this follows an author who is an erotica author. She has been very successful in the past, except for the fact that ever since she found out her fiance was cheating on her a year ago, she has not had sex since. She's been celibate, and her writing has very much suffered from that. So one of her friends is like, well, why don't you find inspiration and just go have sex with someone? And so she ends up requesting her best friend, her male best friend Xander, be this partner for her. She's like, look, we're best friends, it's not like sex is gonna ruin anything. Let's just do it so that I can then have some inspiration for my book. And that's what it's about. It's about a girl and her best friend doing it for inspiration, and it's really good. There is a lot of foreplay in this and it was so good. Like, oh my god. Like, this book was hot and steamy. I mean, all these books were hot and steamy. That's the whole point of this video, is that these books are like XXX rated, like, love them. But yes, let me know down below your favorite super steamy romances. And yes, let me know if you enjoyed this video too. If you did enjoy it, please click the like button down below. If you want to see more of me, please go to my channel. And until next time, thanks a bunch. Bye!